Hi.
We're recording.
We're recording?
I get them. Oh, yeah. My daughter gets them.
We are recording.
Meeting, please come to order. Barbara, please call the roll.
We have Commissioner Levine, Berard, Noonan, and Vasquez present.
This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. I have no opening remarks. Do we have speaker cards?
I have no speaker cards riding to.
Okay, no speaker cards. Who's the general manager today? Is it the guy with
I am,
the
sir.
nice haircut?
Thank you. It stays that way most of the time. No particular comments, just to let you know that, I think this is the second meeting since our power outages after the 4th of July weekend. In spite of the continued heat and the humidity, the power system has performed very well, and we have had no repeat of the kind of incidents that we saw before, and so I just want to make the board aware of that, unless you have any questions.
Good news. Thank you. Comments from commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Barad.
Well, you're among older women today.
Apparently,
Commissioner Levine?
apparently that is going to be an ongoing phenomenon.
Getting used to it.
I don't see him complaining.
I am not complaining. I kind of like it. Don't tell Thunderbird.
Okay. Let's see where that is. Item 4. I want to thank Louis Ting for getting me the maps.
Can you read them?
And they're readable. He brought it into the office. It's about this big. So thank you very much for that. And then the other thing is at the last meeting I had mentioned about a commissioner. Actually, I should have named the commissioner myself. That I wanted to be invited to whatever event we were having to recruit women into non-traditional jobs at DWP. And so I wanted to get some kind of follow-up on that as to who's doing that, when we're doing that, and so on.
Commissioner Barat, we have been working with Barbara, I think, to reach out to your calendar to coordinate when you're available to go
Okay.
meet with the fire department and the police department to talk about their efforts and how we can learn from them. And so we're trying to set that up. I don't know if Barbara, if you...
They said they didn't have any dates yet from the fire department yet. So they were waiting to get some dates before I sent any on.
Okay. So
And-
we're waiting on the fire
yeah.
department for dates when they're available.
Okay. And then DWP will be represented
Absolutely.
to talk about our positions. Okay. So it's really a meeting more than an event.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And then also, I had asked about working with the animal shelters to ensure that the animals are kept cool during power outages. And what I heard last week is that the dogs are outside in the city shelters, and it's very, very hot, and there's no cooling for inside because they turn off the air conditioning at 5 o'clock because that's when the people leave. Well, the people may leave, but the dogs don't leave, and the cats don't leave, and I really think that we need to work with animal services to see what we can do for the animals in the city shelters. Thank you very much.
Can I respond briefly?
Sure.
So 2 weeks ago at the mayor's cabinet meeting, they discussed specifically issues such as the heat storm that we had and the city's response, not just in terms of power and power outages, but also in terms of all the other city agencies. And so Animal Services was present there, and the city's emergency department is looking to get a better, more cohesive view of how the city responds to such things for all facets, whether it's elderly, whether it's animals, whether it's parks setting up cooling centers, power, police, and fire, to make sure that all those agencies are working in unison. So the mayor's office is working on that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Vasquez?
Yeah, I have a couple of points, very brief. So first, I'd like to give a special thank you to Louis' Sting team, and therefore, Rico, you're getting this thank you too. In my office hours, I got a visit from folks from this organization called 2-Bit Circuits, which work with STEM. And they're trying to put together something in downtown that is kind of exciting. They work with young people and gaming, with VR, with virtual reality, and many new kind of exciting things for young and older people, specifically on science. So they came to see me because they were, they were facing a few things to kind of get their facility up and running. So I just want to also thank Jeff Carreview and Louis, of course, Brian Wilbur, Eric Taylor, Brian, Michael Bakurov, especially Ron Mohanan, who really helps me. And they were a bit confused when I called them, and they were like, "Commissioner, you're calling us?" I'm like, "Yes. Would you help these folks to get their plans and stuff through?" So, and also Walter Rodriguez. So I want to thank them. And this is specifically one gentleman, David Owen, who was really helpful. So I'm excited. They're going to have an opening on September 5th, and all DWP is welcome to attend. So I suggest you to also attend. On another different note, thank you. On another different note, as an environmental advocate that I have been my whole entire life, I feel very strongly about all the issues that our Earth face, and obviously what affects us. It's not just that affects this planet. Specifically, recently, I had been really involved with plastic pollution. In the recent years, I was one of the people that helped spearhead banning the single-use of plastic bag. As you know, a lot of this plastic ends up in our beaches, in our rivers, in our streets, and it's terrible. And I feel very strongly that we all should do our part on alleviating these issues. And in the more recent months, I have been also very involved with plastic straw and plastic utensils, which I think that is something that we're very comfortably use every day. And I am one of them that abuses that privilege sometimes, but I don't think it's needed. And I think this is really affecting our food supply, our environment, and it's just trashing our communities. And specifically, the people that make plastic are really banking on polluting communities most vulnerable here in LA. So I really want you to think about that. So, interim general manager, I would like to get a report back from the staff that relate to the folks in our cafeteria. And I know that we have a pop-up. We don't have like a real cafeteria. We don't run our own cafeteria, but I would like to get a report in the areas that we can cut and eliminate plastic utensils, plastic straws, plastic plates, of course. And I want to hear what are the areas where we can cut back and how we can maybe develop, hopefully, a policy where we can ask those vendors that come in to kindly also support our efforts to be more environmental friendly and help also our city, which is also looking into something similar, and trying to cut back and reduce plastic pollution.
We can absolutely do that. You know, there's so many with the bamboo products and other things right now that are biodegradable, so we will talk to them. It's food is a group that we work through, and we'll talk to them and work with the vendors. And I know that Donna's also looking at the possibility of going back to our normal cafeteria days, which is a heavy lift to get there, but we'll certainly make that a part of it, so we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you. And I'm wondering if maybe we can get a report back maybe in 2 months. Do you think that would be something that is reasonable?
For sure.
Because I really want to hear what are some of the areas that we can cut plastic pollution. And again, I'm very conscientious that there are folks that need a straw because they have, physical disabilities, but we have so many more options, bamboo, compostable paper, that we can actually recycle. So this is something that I feel very strongly about, and I hope that all of you that are here also join me to reduce plastic pollution in your homes and in your everyday life also. So thank you. And Donna, if you're gonna bring back the cafeteria, I have a special request to please bring Colombian food to the cafeteria here too. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
I have one more I forgot.
Commissioner Barad has one more she forgot.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't see anything on our agenda specifically about EV stations.
Charging.
But when we talked about it at the commission, we talked about different locations where we could put the charging stations. And the one that I had suggested was along the metro stops. And I spoke to Metro last week, and actually, they don't have any plans for EV stations along the new East Valley corridor or along the Orange Line or the stops on Van Nuys Boulevard or Sepulveda. And the idea was that people could park their cars at, let's say, the Orange Line, and then their cars would be charged, and then they could continue on public transportation, get the car at the end of the day. So I just want to emphasize that this is something we need to work with Metro, because right now is when they're developing the Valley plans. And I think this would be a really good place to do it. What they are doing, they're having charging stations for the buses. And they're going to charge the buses with electricity because they'll be electric buses, but they have nothing for cars. So if we could please look into that. I think the time is right for us to do that.
We will look into that. One thing that we have to be careful is that we have to kind of blend having the EV chargers with also the fact that we don't really want someone's car at one charger all day long because it makes it unavailable to other people. So it's kind of a balancing act, especially if you have a faster charger. You really want to encourage shorter durations. So we'll work with Metro and try to balance those two issues
Good.
out.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, Jill. Ratepayer advocate.
No special comments. I may have comments on items as they come up.
Thank you. 6A, board recognition of the 2018 Recycled Water Customer of the Year.
So I'm going to ask Evelyn Cortez Davis, who's the Assistant Director of Water Resources, to come up and present the award.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have some great news for you today. I'm here with Anthony Tu, who is a Civil Engineering Associate in our Recycled Water Policy Group. Today, we are extremely happy to recognize the 2018 Recycled Water Customer of the Year Award to recipient, who is the Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course. Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course was selected in recognition of their outstanding efforts to use recycled water. We at DWP established this award in 2013 to recognize customers that make extraordinary efforts to increase the recycled water use at their facilities. All recycled water customers in the LADWP service area were considered in selection of this year's award, and Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course was determined to be an outstanding example of a recycled water customer. The applications were reviewed and scored by 4 judges from LADWP, Los Angeles Sanitation, and from 2 stakeholders of the One Water LA plan. The Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course is a 9-hole, 3-par course located just east of the 5 freeway on Los Feliz Boulevard. Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course opened in 1947 and as a driving range, and later as a 3-par designed course lined with numerous trees. The course is operated by our own City of Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks. The Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course has been using recycled water since 2014. Their irrigation system was completely replaced and landscaping was redesigned to include bioswales and other landscape improvements to minimize water runoff. LADWP assisted the City of Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks with design support and with acquiring Los Angeles County Public Health approvals for the recycled water irrigation system plans. LADWP also expedited the installation of the new 4-inch recycled water meter in service. The site is both a beautiful and ecologically friendly park. The construction work was completed on schedule and within budget by LA Rec and Parks staff. Griffith Park Los Feliz Golf Course continues to benefit the community by offsetting 7 acre-feet per year of potable water use with recycled water, which amounts to 87.5% of all the water used on their property. Today, we are proud to have Laura Bauernfeind, the golf manager, and Tom Gibson, landscape architect for the Department of Recreation and Parks, here to accept the 2018 Recycled Water Customer of the Year certificate and trophy. Please join me in congratulating them for their efforts.
Welcome and congratulations. Do you want to say a few words?
Say a few words, Tom.
Come on, Tom.
Good morning, everyone. Commissioners, thank you. Marty, Richard, great to see you. Yeah, we want to thank you on behalf of our general manager, Michael Schull, our assistant general manager, Ramon Barajas, and the rest of our commissioners for this award and for our continued cooperation and collaboration to bring recycled water to parks. We still have over 400 parks to go to, so we all have a lot of work to do. Well, we look forward to that challenge. Giving thanks where thanks is due, and I would like to thank the staff at DWP who worked on bringing recycled water to the park. Besides the pipe layers who brought it through the city streets, we also worked heavily with Mario Acevedo, Carrie McCorkle, and Inayat Miat, and as well as our staff. We had a project manager, David Takada, who worked diligently to coordinate the project. And then at that time, Laura Bauernfeind here was the supervisor for our landscape construction crew. She's since has elevated to our golf manager for the whole department, all of our golf courses. And who else? Lots of people, so many people work on these projects, but really want to thank you all for this award and look forward to future years and future awards, we hope. What do you think, Laura?
I think so.
We hope so too, and we are expecting them.
Good deal.
Well, we can talk real quick. We're very excited that just 2 weeks ago we broke construction at Roosevelt Golf Course, which is another recycled water project that we're looking forward to bringing online later this year. And again, it's another example of the outstanding cooperation and symbiotic relationship the Department of Recreation and Parks Golf Division has with the Department of Water and Power. So we thank you for your support there as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. Thank you. Absolutely.
While you're lining up for a photo, I want to point out, in the mayor's ED4 objectives, one was to have 85% of the city's golf courses on recycled water. And so we're at 80% now and quickly getting to 85%. The last percent are pretty elusive because they're far from the source. But you kind of see the different engagements we have with Rec and Parks, kind of scattered out. We have MOU where we help fund where they hire at-risk youth to do re-landscaping, and we help fund the landscaping program, the irrigation programs. But we have a tremendous relationship and a lot of cooperation. So this is great to celebrate one of those successes. And thank you, Tom.
Okay, let's move the chair here and everybody come in. Yeah, everybody. Jill.
Thank you.
Do you guys want to?
You too.
Are we balanced?
And let's have everyone step over this way again. Yeah, just like that. Both of them. Yeah, that's good. Just like that. Very nice. Now we're sort of down. All right, now we're. Everyone squeeze in. Get friendly here.
Tilt it. Yeah, that's good. Okay, very good. All right. Here. All right, here's the first one. Big smile. Looking very nice. Here we go again. Big smile right here. Here we go again. That's good. Another one. Big smile. And last one. Here we go. That's good right here. Thank you very much. Mine's better arts and
No, thank you.
Oh, okay, that will be a tough act to follow. We go to Reliability Coordinator Services transition.
So this item is to update the board on a disruptive change that's happening in the industry relating to electric grid reliability that will certainly impact DWP. So it's an update of what our plans are. And to present, we have Simon Zodu, who is our Manager of Regulatory Compliance and Specifications, as well as Chris Lynn, the Director of Power System Operations.
Good morning, Commissioners. Would like to take a few minutes and give you a high-level overview of the changes that are happening in the West. It's stated as a dynamic shift or transition within the Western grid, and it relates to reliability coordinator services that are provided to utilities, balancing authorities, and transmission operators in the West. Before we go forward, I would like to say a few words about what the definition of a reliability coordinator is. Reliability coordinator is it's the highest level of authority that can be given to an entity that's responsible for the operation of the bulk electric system. The bulk electric system is commonly referred to as the high-level electric grid. So they do have a very high-level view of the electric grid. To be a reliability coordinator, an entity has to be certified by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and reliability coordinator services are mandatory services that need to be sought by balancing authorities and transmission operators. It's not a choice, it's not an option, but it's a mandatory requirement. So balancing authorities and transmission operators are subject to this requirement. And balancing authorities, just to give it a basic definition, is an entity that's responsible for the supply and demand of electricity within a subregion. So to give an example, there are about 68 balancing authorities within the United States and about 11 reliability coordinators. So reliability coordinators have a very wide view, a very broad view of the grid, and they do have visibility of the various balancing authorities and their interconnections. In addition to that, they do have the necessary and requisite tools, software applications, processes, and procedures in place in order to provide real-time monitoring and situational awareness. And more importantly, they're responsible for preventing and mitigating any type of emergency operation issues. So they play a huge part in the reliability of the grid, and there have been a lot of changes lately, and we're here to brief you on those highlights.
Okay, the next three slides will give you a little bit of a history about Peak Reliability Coordinator, or Peak RC, as well as a better understanding about how CalISO, the independent system operator, made the move to withdraw from Peak RC and be their own reliability coordinator, as well as offering those services throughout the WEC region, the Western Electric Coordinating Council. So if you look at the next slide, you can see the three interconnections, the Western interconnection, Eastern, and then Texas is their own interconnection. And you go to the next slide, and you can see that, especially in the East, all of the electric station operators, independent system operators, they've all made that move to being their own reliability coordinators already, as well as in Texas, is also their own reliability coordinator. Only in the Western interconnection is there a reliability coordinator that is independent from any other system operator in the region. And even in the West, you can see in the upper right, Alberta, the electric station operator, they've already developed a market and they provide their own reliability coordination services. So what CAISO is doing has already been happening for some time in the other regions, in the other interconnections as well. If we go to the next slide, I can give a little bit of history about Peak RC. They were founded in January 1, 2014, when they bifurcated from WEC, the Western Energy Coordinating Council. They provide reliability coordination services to the entire Western interconnection, with the exception of Alberta. You can see it's a large area, or a lot of assets, 110,000 miles of transmission, including LA DWP facilities, and serving 74 million people. They coordinate with 38 balancing authorities, LA being one of those balancing authorities, as well as 56 transmission operators in the West. Peak has provided RC services to LA DWP since its founding.
So what's changing in the West? I think we'd like to walk you through chronologically what has happened over the last 11 months. It started in September of 2017, when a group of utilities representing primarily a state of Colorado and Wyoming, some parts of northern New Mexico and Arizona, referred to as a Mountain West Transmission Group, announced that they would like to withdraw from Peak and perhaps join in for their reliability coordinator services and market services with a regional transmission operator which is to the east of them. If I can go back to the map, you can see the SPP, which is right in the Midwest, right next to east of Colorado. The Mountain West Group decided that they would like to sign a letter of intent to join the SPP, the Southern Power Pool, for their RC services. That triggered a move by Peak Reliability, which is responsible for the Western interconnection, and they wanted to bring in some partnership with some market providers from back east, namely the PJM Connects, and that was a move in reaction to the Mountain West announcement, since it impacted about 9% of their peak funding, the funding capabilities. Basically, the way Peak Reliability worked is every balancing authority and transmission operator participating contributes their fair share of funding based on the net energy load, and that fixed amount is used as a budget for Peak Reliability. But as members start fleeing and defecting, there will be less funding available to provide the same level of services. So as they lost about 9% of their funding, Peak were looking for other opportunities to partner with other market providers. Just following that, in January, right at the beginning of the year, CAISO made another very significant move, which is an announcement that it would like to withdraw from Peak and create its own reliability coordinator service. And not only it would provide reliability coordinator service to its current footprint, but it will provide reliability coordinator services to other utilities in the West as well. So that would look like a competition to Peak, and CAISO represents about 31% of the Peak funding pot, if you will. So a total of 40% of the Peak's funding was fleeing, and that created a chaotic situation in the West. Utilities, balancing authorities, and other Peak funding parties started meeting regularly to make sure that they meet the compliance requirement, as well as what the impact of this shift would be to the reliability of their grid. CALISO also indicated that they will provide the same level of service that PIC is providing at 50% of the cost. That makes it even more attractive for a lot of balancing authorities. But it's important to note that joining the reliability coordinating service with CALISO does not mean joining the CALISO market. So it's just a separate service, a boutique service, if you will, that CALISO will be providing. In order to do so, CALISO needs to get certified by the Federal Energy Reliability Commission, and they have started the process, and they're expecting to get that certification around November of 2018. So over the last 6-7 months, we've been going back and forth, different balancing authorities meeting and trying to come up with different kind of resolutions, whether PIC is going to survive, will CALISO expand, will SPP will expand into the west. There were a lot of uncertainties. But on July 18th, a big announcement was made by PIC Reliability that they will be winding down. They will be closing their doors. They will be ceasing their operations by the end of 2019. So it appears that CALISO is the only viable entity currently that's able and to be certified to provide these reliability coordinated services that are critical for the Western interconnection. And we expect the majority, and I would say even almost 98% of the current PIC participants will be shifting their RC services to be provided by CALISO in the coming year and a half. So what's LADWP's plan? We've been thinking about this, analyzing this issue for quite some time. We've been scanning the temperature across the West. We've been talking to other balancing authorities, trying to come up with the best strategy on how to move forward. And we have engaged with CALISO on what their reliability coordinating services would look like. Would like to see a very smooth transition. We've heard from them that typically it would take about 6 to 9 months to get traction in the reliability coordinator services with CALISO. So we would like to make a quick move and in the interest of time to sign some type of binding letter of intent with CALISO and try to get ahead of the pack, if you will. What you see on your right-hand side of the screen is the 38 balancing authorities in the Western United States. And all of them will be coming into CALISO at one point to seek services, and DWP intends to be one of the first ones to do so in the interest of time and to make sure that this would not have any impact on other programs that we have.
So today we're here just to make you aware of what's been happening with CALISO and PIC, and we anticipate that we'll be back sometime in Q4 of this year, 2018, to get approval for RC services with CALISO. But we want to just come today with the way things are moving so quickly and make you aware of the situation. Our target is for LADWP to go live with CALISO, our reliability coordinated services, in July. The other thing that we want to make you aware of is, and we don't know, but this may impact the 2020 date of going live with the energy imbalance market with CALISO. So we just want to make you aware of that. We just need to see how the onboarding goes with CALISO, transitioning away from PIC, and what work is going to be involved by our staff to do that. So we would just want to let you know that that may have an impact on the EIM.
From a regulatory compliance point of view, this is a very critical step for the department. We are currently reviewing the rates and tariff documents from CALISO as well as their draft service agreements. So we're very excited to make this decision, at least for the time being, and we'll come back to the board and provide the necessary information as we move forward.
My question was going to be the exact point that you mentioned at the very end. to what extent, if at all, does this impact our voluntary compliance with the EIM? I must confess, I mean, I think it's obviously, this is a critical issue, which I do not understand adequately. Maybe my colleagues do, but I don't really know how it works. It would be useful at some point to dive a little deeper into how all of this works and the relationship between one DWP decision with regard to RCS vis-a-vis CalISO. What is that relationship to our EIM situation with CalISO? And just provide a little bit more depth in terms of how all of these things may or may not interconnect.
I can provide a little more general information. I think it will assist you to understand about the reliability coordination. So in the West, in all of the interconnections, you have all of the ISOs and balancing authorities and transmission operators sharing that grid. And if one utility or balancing authority has a problem on the system, it can have an impact on the neighboring or all of the utilities on that system. So
what do you mean has a problem on the system?
If you have a problem like a transmission line failure or a generator go down, which could ultimately result in curtailments or blackouts, the reliability coordinator has that view of the entire system and can take that global look on what needs to happen to rectify the problem or situation that is happening in real time.
What's the difference between that and the EIM?
So the EIM is the energy imbalance market. It's just that this is reliability coordination. EIM is a market tool where you can purchase energy in day ahead or 15-minute intervals. It's a market versus reliability of the system itself, the Western.
But it sounds like they're very similar. If there's something goes wrong, then there's a way to compensate. Whereas if there's a shortage, there's a way to compensate, or a surplus, there's a way to sell. I don't know where one stops and the other begins. I may be just missing something.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner, if I may, the Reliability Coordinator Services really came about as a result of some cascading blackouts they had. There was an operator error in a system in Arizona that caused a cascading effect through Arizona, Imperial Irrigation District, the California Independent System Operator, all the way down to Mexico. And as a result of that, the realization came there was no single entity with visualization into the whole system and situational awareness and communication between different balancing authorities. So that was the creation of the Reliability Coordinator Service. It's an independent, for the West, it's an independent organization that oversees the entire grid to look for anomalies and between one system, knowing that the interconnectedness could impact other areas as well. That is completely separate from the energy imbalance market. You can do one without the other, it doesn't matter. But from a reliability standard, we have to have the RC, the Reliability Coordinator Services. And if we lapse, we will be subject to penalties. And it appears now that CAISO will be the only default provider. Mm-hmm. So we're planning on going to live July 1, so we can have parallel operations for 6 months, because if you wait till the end of the year when peak goes away, you may have a lapse and we'll be the one paying the financial consequences. That is completely different, but because this came down so quickly, and last board meeting we provided the update on EIM, and there's a significant resource commitment for staff. We don't want to bring on all those staff if we're going to be committed to, now we have to be involved in all the discussions and the planning to get everything we need from a reliability standpoint ready to go live for the Reliability Coordinator Services. It may make sense to not put the pressure on an already overstrained staff to also do EIM at the same time. Because when we do EIM, we want to make sure we're fully committed, get all the resources to fully participate and get the benefits of that energy market versus reliability services, if
Very
that
helpful.
makes sense.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from commissioners? Ratepayer advocate?
This is more important than EIM.
Yeah.
And
Well,
every-
and also, we don't have any choice.
Well, that and the root problems in this type of reliability issue can occur within half a cycle of electricity, which means within 8 milliseconds. So it has to be coordination of automatic controls as well as things that are done on a market basis that are 15 minutes to an hour, depending on your area.
Got it.
I have one question to President Levine's point. Since there are no other options, do the terms, are the terms that are being offered, are they comparable with the terms that exist now, or are they taking advantage of the fact that there's really no other option other than to go with them?
The terms are negotiable, so we are taking up the terms and provisions one at a time and negotiating with KATZ. So we haven't started the negotiation process, but the type of services that would be provided are standard by Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and they will be certified to provide that service. But cost-wise, they have KATZ have mentioned that they will reduce the cost by 50% for the same service that we are getting right now from peak reliability.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Very
Welcome.
helpful.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Enterprise Resource Planning Software Solution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to introduce to you Stefan Tucker and Greg Reed. Stefan is the director of our Corporate Program Management Office that oversees large IT initiatives throughout the department, and Greg Reed is the project manager specifically over our ERP project. Today we would like to give you a briefing on where we're at with replacing our financial systems, and so I'll turn it over to Stefan and Greg and let you share that information.
Thanks, Donna. Good morning, President Levine and commissioners. I'm Stefan Tucker. I'm the director, and Greg to my right. We want to just take a few minutes to discuss the Enterprise Resource Planning Program, better known, we call it ERP, and give you the following overview, if you will. So we're going to give you a program overview, and then we're going to talk about the benefits that we feel that we can glean out of a new ERP system, give you an overview of what the program structure is like, a roadmap, and then basically the next steps that we need to do on the ERP. So what is the ERP? ERP is, as I said, the Enterprise Resource Planning Program. And it's a coin that's been termed by the industry for core systems, core business systems that a company needs to operate. In our case, it's our financial system, our human resources system, and our procurement system that we're going to be replacing. And it's a solution that completely integrates the database tables, the resources, the information, and the data all together in one system, rather than having disparate systems that you're trying to integrate and coordinate the data for. DWP is in the process of replacing, going through the process of planning to replace those systems now. And it's a process that's probably going to take 3 to 5 years overall, and Greg will talk about the schedule for that a little later. This is kind of an overview of the core systems that are in the department. As you can see, there's quite a few core systems in the department. And then there's some other ancillary systems that are not on this particular graph. The systems that are in the orange are the systems that we're planning on replacing with the ERP system that we're planning on bringing on board. As you can see, it's quite a few systems that right now are tied together through a number of different interfaces. that we're trying to bring together into one core system for the department. ERP solution will look more like this, one system, one source, so that we can have the ERP system as our core, providing information from that ERP system for payroll, for human resources, for financial, for supply chain services, and other operations as well. So as you can see, it's a much more simplified model with a lot less integration, a lot less data transfer between the systems. One system, one source, if you will. So the business case for doing this, and you can see by the bolded words, our mainframe applications are becoming obsolete. Our HR systems, PeopleSoft, basically outdated, no longer supported by Oracle. Difficulty recruiting personnel because of the old mainframe technology. They don't teach that technology in colleges anymore. Attrition of IT personnel, making our system very vulnerable as far as the support standpoint. Disconnected applications, really having a difficulty finding one single source of truth in the disparate applications that we have now. Reporting data is often very, very manually intensive. A simple request, potentially from the board, you look behind the curtains and it's a lot of manual manipulation going on to try to come up with that single, clean report. And then just manual processes that are very efficient and very difficulty providing responses and inquiries in a timely manner currently. The mission for the ERP is quite simple. It's kind of a technology replacement, but it's also a great time to rethink the opportunities and modernize our business processes and do some re-engineering of our processes. And the goals are pretty simple. We want one system, one source of information. We want an end-to-end, seamless integration between all of these databases. We want to improve the operational efficiency and effectiveness, increase the responsiveness and transparency in our data and reporting, and provide greater system security by limiting the customizations that we currently have. And with that, I'll turn it over to Greg to give you a little more detail of the benefits.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to give you a briefing on our ERP program. So some of the improvements we expect to glean from the ERP fall into the various areas of our core systems. And these slides just highlight some of the higher level benefits that we expect to get, but there's numerous improvements that are going to take place with migrating from a mainframe-based system to a more modern platform. So with that in mind, the HR improvements that we expect include having better visibility of our position authority, vacancies in the department, and where we stand with our annual personnel resolution, being able to streamline our personnel transactions and bring employees on board faster from the time they're hired to the moment they have credentials to log into their email and actually have a computer assigned and a badge provided. We also want to have better tracking of our training and certifications and to be able to deliver training content that's relevant for our critical positions, possibly through a computer-based training using an ERP type solution. In our procurement area, we anticipate having better support for our vendors. And we think, we know that our vendors are a very vital component of the services we provide to our community. And so our ability to provide them access to the system, opportunities for our online bidding, and to provide a mechanism for them to submit their invoices online and track the status of their payment, hopefully will translate into faster turnaround times for payment to our vendors. So we see that as a benefit to our vendor community. In addition to that, we see the ability to replace our ERSP system as giving us an opportunity to have better visibility of the important metrics that you want to see. For example, supplier diversity performance or equity goals in terms of our spend across the city. So being able to have better reporting and analytics out of our purchasing system is one of the key benefits we hope to get from an ERP. Going to the next slide, we also have our financial module, and we expect to streamline numerous manual processes that we currently undergo to produce our financial statements and to close our books on a monthly and year-end basis. So with that, we expect to more rapidly close our fiscal periods. We also expect to integrate our accounts payable with our procurement, with our budget, so we'll have greater visibility on contract spend, things of that nature. And we'll also be able to provide modern tools for managing our project costs, our operational costs, our grants, and our FEMA reimbursement programs, things of that nature. Now, payroll is a big animal. If you know anything about our payroll system, we have numerous rules for compensation, various ways of getting compensated for overtime and other premium pays. And the system we have in place, also mainframe-based, is very complex. And as Stefan mentioned, one of our vulnerabilities is the experts who keep these systems running are very vital to that support. And many of them are nearing retirement. And they don't teach these languages in school today. So how do we ensure the long-term sustainability of our payroll system, for example? Well, we really need to migrate off the mainframe. And so with that said, a modern application for our payroll system will help it make it easier for us to update our compensation rules, integrate that with our payroll, our personnel transaction processes, and provide greater sustainability over the long term. So with that said, our overall improvement on the next slide for having an ERP is to mitigate the risks associated with having a mainframe and the support vulnerabilities related to attrition of our IT personnel, having a more secure, reliable, and auditable environment, increasing our ability to have data that we can count on, that we can have access to, and that we can provide reports in a timely manner. And so our overall reporting and analytical capability will be strengthened by deploying an ERP. So with that, the improvements that we should see for our customers would be increased transparency and responsiveness, better support for our vendors, as I mentioned earlier. You as a board would expect greater visibility in the metrics that you find most important. And we think that by improving our business processes in our core business, that'll translate into better support for the services that we provide to our customers in terms of the strategic goals that you want to see accomplished for this department. Okay, so we are going through a number of steps to get ready for ERP. As you could imagine, replacing our financials, replacing our payroll, replacing our human resource systems, and our procurement is a significant undertaking, and we've taken various steps to get ourselves ready for that. So what we've accomplished so far includes working with consultants to provide business process reviews, programmatic planning, situational analysis of our business process to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats with respect to our core business functions. We've also reached out to software vendors, brought them into the department to have them showcase demonstrations of their ERP products to educate our personnel on what the future may look like within an ERP context. We've also done some market research by reaching out to other agencies who've implemented ERP to understand the lessons they've learned from their journey doing similar projects. We're also currently doing a deep dive review of our business processes. We have a cross-functional team who are looking at HR, they're looking at payroll, they're looking at finance, they're looking at budget, they're looking at procurement, and doing a deep dive review to understand where are the opportunities to revisit our policies, to revisit our procedures, and opportunities to streamline those so that we could get closer to what it may look and feel like within an ERP environment. So this next slide depicts the program management structure that has been put into place to oversee the ERP implementation. And it starts with the executive committee and the general manager, David Wright, and his executive team to provide the overall direction for ERP. We also have an ERP steering committee led by our CAO, Donna Stevener, and our CFO, Ann Santulli, and they have a committee of division directors from each of the impacted business units, HR, supply chain, finance, IT, as well as representatives from water system. Thank you, Rich, for appointing personnel to that committee, and also representatives from power. Thank you also, Rico, for appointing members to that committee. So we've expanded that committee to include both the water and power operating divisions to provide a voice to the project. We also have a dedicated project team that's comprised of nearly 60 approved positions. Not all of them are filled yet, but we're working on that. But it has a cross-functional team from each of the impacted organizations that I mentioned at the staff level. I'm a member of that team as well. And we also have a program advisory team, which is basically an ad hoc convening of subject matter experts from the operating groups, such as the employee services group or the supply chain group, the people who work in the trenches who know the business inside and out. They come on a part-time basis when we have specific questions and analysis that we need to complete to help us make better informed decisions over the scope of the ERP. Now, I want to talk about the consultants who we expect to have participate in the project, and so those are shown in the gold boxes. And so first it starts with the quality assurance, QA, independent review, and so that'll be a consultant that we bring on to provide outside independent review of all facets of the project in terms of what the software does and the configuration of the software to make sure that we are not opening ourselves to risk. And if they see anything that's risky, they would report that directly to our executive steering committee and the general manager so they could make sure that the project team is following up on those type of risks. So it's an independent review function with reporting directly to the execs. Secondly, within the implementation team, we have 3 other boxes in gold. So I'll start with the OCM consultant. That's the Organizational Change Management Consultant. And as you could imagine, moving from our current mainframe systems to a new ERP platform is going to require numerous changes to our technology, but also to our business processes, the way our people work, and potentially even the way we're organized. And so therefore, having a professional OCM consultant can help us strategize around the way we carry out the transition of our organization from where we are today to where we need to be once we have an ERP in place. The next box over is the system integrator, and I should also add the software vendor. So that'll be the software that we purchase and the contractor that we hire to configure the software specific to DWP's needs. And then finally, the gold box to the right is our technical advisory consultants who help us with detailed expertise in various areas of the ERP implementation. And then lastly, we have the overall implementation team that's comprised of DWP personnel. And so we'll have a program manager who I believe the mayor and the city council recently authorized an exempt position to appoint. And we also will have a quality assurance team of internal DWP staff to make sure that the project is being tested and that the test quality is appropriate for rollout to go live. And then again, we'll have our cross-functional team of subject matter experts supporting all of those efforts. Okay, this next slide provides a high-level overview of our program schedule. And so we're currently in 2018, and so we're wrapping up our business requirements process. That's where we started with the situational analysis, business process mapping, and SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We still have some work to go, and so we're looking to wrap that up hopefully by the end of this year. We're also working on organizational readiness, and so those are the deep dive reviews that I talked earlier to help revisit our policies and to get us closer to what we would need to do in order to implement ERP. By early next year, we plan to proceed with procurement of the actual software and the services to configure that software and go forward. And then you see in the green, that's actually the implementation. And so first it would start with bringing the consultant on board, doing some deep dive planning and design, and then by 2021, we expect to begin the IT conversion from the mainframe system to the actual ERP itself. That's phase 1. All of that leads up to phase 1. I know I've said a mouthful, But phase one is focusing on our core systems, HR, payroll, finance, and purchasing. But we also envision continuing the migration of our business processes from the legacy environment to get broader integration into an ERP solution with the phase two and potentially phase three to optimize and get the horsepower out of our ERP systems. You got to walk before you run, and so it's kind of an evolution and growth with the ERP maturity. And then lastly, you'll see on the bottom of the schedule, we are currently pursuing an early implementation of our budget replacement. And so we hope to have that contract before you shortly, and that'll allow us to kick off a replacement of our legacy budget system. So as far as next steps are concerned, and this is our final slide, we do have an item on the agenda today to amend a contract we've implemented with Gardner, a GM-approved contract. And we envision having that amendment to get Gardner support for completing our business requirements and to help us with solicitation documents. They will also work with our external counsel, Nossaman, who you recently approved to help us with this initiative, and developing the terms and conditions for those solicitation documents. We, earlier this year, also advertised a contract for expert technical services. We call it ETAS, and we're almost complete with the evaluations of that process and hope to have that bench contract before you by the fourth quarter. Finally, we expect to have an organizational change management contract go out the door within the next 2 quarters, and to also develop the contract for independent review, the QA review that I mentioned earlier. So those are our next steps. I want to thank you for allowing this opportunity to brief you on the scope of this important program, and I hope it provides the context for the decision that you're going to make regarding the amendment to Gardner's scope of services. We'll be happy to answer any questions
Thank
you
you
may have.
very much. Very thorough and helpful. Commissioner Broad.
Thank you. Yes. Very comprehensive. Thank you. I wanted to ask you about the procurement for employees and what the plan is. You said that some of the employees here, that the IT personnel, have not been taught this language in school. And then, so what is the plan for retaining those people, perhaps training them in the new language, and then bringing in new people? I mean, are you going to do both or one, or how do you handle that?
Thank you for that question. So, and you pinged on a very important facet of our strategy, which is to maintain the continuity of our business systems over the long term. So the vulnerability is we have very expert staff in place today managing and maintaining our IT infrastructure. They are long-term veterans who know this system inside and out through the course of their careers. And the language that the mainframe is based on, COBOL generally and other languages, is not taught in schools today. And say again?
Anymore. It's outdated.
It's outdated, exactly. And so we do have positions allocated for this project in the IT division. I believe it's 25 positions. And the strategy
Those are new positions?
These are new positions. And the strategy that Lewis Carr and Rita Carwell have, Rita Carwell is the assistant director under Lewis Carr, is to hire those new positions, embed them with the operating groups who currently manage the various aspects of our mainframe system, so they can get real-time learning about the current infrastructure and then apply that knowledge to the new systems that we're going to develop through the ERP project. The ERP project is going to use more, contemporary platforms and technology that is taught in school, and so those new people who are brought on board should have the skill set to be able to adopt to the new technology readily.
And then what about the people who are here?
Yes.
How do you integrate them into the system?
Well, I believe that they'll also be able to leverage their skills to adopt the new technology
Are
as
they
well.
going to be trained? Are you planning a training?
We definitely have a training program as a component of the overall program, both for IT personnel and business personnel. And the training would be focused on ERP software training, maintenance of the system, administration of the system, management of the system, as well as education and training on the business process changes and the organizational changes that we expect to undergo over the course of the project. So
Okay,
it'll be a pretty well-rounded educational program.
When you mentioned the contemporary people, I guess that's, you mean younger. Now, are you recruiting those people from certain schools or classes? How are you reaching out to recruit, to get those people?
Yeah, we're in the process of recruiting those from local universities as well as universities that we go to abroad. We're doing a number of outreach events at job fairs and other venues to try to recruit those people to come in and help us with this ERP implementation. I think we've got about a third of them on board or so, and we're looking to hire some more.
Okay. The next area I wanted to ask you about, kind of looking into the future, and what did you say about our, let's see, better support for our vendors and our ratepayers. Would this system, are you planning then that this system would move into the monthly billing that we're talking about?
No, this is more of an inward-facing system that handles our, internal budget, our payroll, our cost accounting, those facets. It does have some customer receivables component, but those are more along the lines of our land leases, fiber optics, bulk power transactions, things of that nature, short of our retail on the CC&B, our customer billing side. So
right,
the
so
only let me just, if I could just add, is there will be passing of high-level data from the billing system to bring in the revenues into our general ledger and our financial statements, and so that there will be some tie, but in terms of actual management of the billing process, there is a firewall between the ERP and the customer billing system.
All right, so I'm asking about that firewall, and how does that work if right now we're billing, every other month, but we're talking about perhaps having a pilot program and then starting to bill monthly. So I'm just wondering how this is going to be coordinated, if at all, with your program.
Let me take that. So they are two separate systems. We have the CIS system and the ERP, and right now there is an interface. Whenever we send out the bill monthly and we receive the cash, those transactions are posted into the general ledger, and thus it gets into what will be the ERP. When we go to monthly billing, it just means that that will happen sooner. The totals are what get aggregated. So if we send all of the bills we send out that day get aggregated and they're posted, whether they're monthly or bi-monthly. Right now we do have monthly transactions with our commercial customers, so we are billing monthly already for portions of our customers. We will just be moving to the pilot for some of our residential, and then eventually we will try to get to all the residential will be monthly. Faster cash flow, faster transactions for us.
But at this point, you don't foresee this program being part of that?
No, it is totally separate. We are working on the pilot. The pilot for monthly billing hopefully will be rolled out in the last quarter of this year.
Of this year.
And by January 1st, we hope to have it live.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Yes.
I have, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
So my first question is about when was the last time that we updated our ERP system?
Which decade do you want to talk about?
Okay,
don't
so
have
the
an
most
ERP.
recent.
We don't have an ERP
The-
right
the-
now.
the
We have a
ERSP is
suite of software.
Like a menu of different things kind of working together.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So
our
our
mainframe is,
systems date back to the 80s, I believe.
yeah, they're
70s,
40 years
80s.
old.
Okay, because you're both very aware, because you have expressed it many times in this presentation, that technology is constantly improving and changing.
That's right.
That what I learned in school about computers is very different than what kids learn now as toddlers in their parents' phone, basically. So it changed. So it's so interesting to see this schedule, this timeline that you guys are proposing, because it's so far ahead. And I'm assuming that in 2024 there will be other things, there will be other systems. So I'm curious about how you're planning on that kind of continue update of programs and softwares and systems and updates, and that I deal with personally, with my own computer enterprise. But also I want to know, how are you planning ahead so that in 20 years, another commissioner probably won't be here in 20 years. So whoever is here or whatever is DWP, how you're going to tackle this issue. So the next time that a commissioner or somebody, a decision maker, asks, when was the last time we did an update, it's not going to be like, I think it was in the 90s or in the 80s or like, but we have actually a plan, because these things are like constantly improving. So I'm curious to hear a little bit of what's that planning ahead on the next 20 years. We plan on our power on 20 years, power procurement, 20 years, 30 years. So I think that it makes sense that we plan on this too. And also, I want you to walk me through the costs and how that's going to look like together with the updates in the timeline.
Let me take the future question first, and then you can talk about the cost. So we are working on our technology roadmap. There's so many systems at DWP, and so we are putting together the roadmap that will include the CIS, because again, that needs to be updated and kept current, as well as an ERP. So once it's replaced, there will be a roadmap that will show all of the upgrades as we move forward. These systems should have a long life, but it's just like your iPhone. When it gets updated, every 3 weeks, you get a new version with new features. These vendors add these new features, et cetera, to these new modern systems just like that. And so especially some of the newer ones we saw are actually cloud-based. And so they actually, if we decide to choose one of those, actually get updates just like our iPhones do, and the new features come out whenever they update them as the demands change from the customers. So we definitely have a roadmap we're developing for all of the future major systems and the minor ones as well, to make sure that we aren't 30 years behind in replacing. I'm fairly new to DWP, but it is my understanding that we've had planned to do this ERP upgrade several times over the course of the last 20 years, but recessions and different things, deregulation, this and that, had impacted the ability of the department to do so. But we're at the end of the line now. We need to do this desperately.
And that's specifically why Donna formed this team, is to be able to handle projects like this, because otherwise they remain to be elusive, trying to get things solved. So we needed a team that could pull everyone together to get this done. So that's why these gentlemen are here.
Thank you for that, Marty. And if I could add to Donna's comment, one of the key facets of the project is the policy that the steering committee has, which is to have little to no customization of the software. And the reason for that is to make sure that we are able to take advantage of security updates, to take advantage of software upgrades and new releases, new functionality, without a huge burden that's associated with having a highly customized software. And it actually is one of the reasons why our human resource system that we have today is so out of date, because it's been highly customized and it's no longer supported by Oracle, the product manufacturer.
Right.
So with that, I'm going to go ahead and shift into your other question about cost. So I have a few cost components, and these are top-down budgets, by the way, so they're not bottom-up estimates. We have started a process to get bottoms-up estimates, and we believe Gardner will help us really push forward with the bottoms-up estimate. So from a top-down standpoint, we've allocated $91 million for system integrator services. We've allocated $44 million for software and hardware materials, and we've allocated $30 million for the supporting contracts like the organizational change management, independent review, expert technical advisory services, things of that nature. So I don't have those numbers
So it's
summarized.
about like 55 million on the stretch of 2016 to 2024?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and
Or
then there's
whatever,
staff costs,
2018,
but staff
no.
costs is staff costs. So hopefully that's responsive to your
Yeah,
question.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Christina is in charge.
Are there any other questions?
If I may make a comment.
Yes, I'm sorry.
One of the important conclusions of our CCNB report, looking at the experience, was the role of independent testing. And I think the one box that's missing in the implementation team is the role of independent testing. You can't be an expert on something you have no experience using. So you need those independent testers. Typically, the independent tester would be a competitor of the systems integrator with a narrow scope of what they're reviewing. And I think that's an important component that needs to be added to this. You could take it perhaps out of your technical advisory, but they have to be an independent voice, because not just because of the technical problems, is you're reviewing business processes, eliminating some, streamlining or substantially changing others. There's going to be a lot of friction, and having internal teams mediate that won't work very well. You really need a strong independent voice.
We actually share that sentiment. One of the things or contracts that's going to come before you, and Greg mentioned it, was our Enterprise Technology Advisory Services. And we do have services within that contract to do independent testing as well on the ERP, which is outside of the ERP contract itself. So they will, in fact, be third-party independent services.
Yeah, it was, as long as it is an independent party, perhaps narrowly scoped, but of expertise so that they counterbalance what the system integrator might be saying.
Right, and I'll just also add to that, the upper left-hand box, the QA reviewer is also kind of that independent eyes and ears for the management team to look at the details of what the system integrator is doing, what the DWP team are doing, and provide a report out on what they're seeing as well.
But this is getting down into the testing as well.
Yes.
I think that's an outstanding recommendation and something that should be incorporated into future presentations, because I think it really yields towards transparency. And given the fact that we're making such a substantial investment, which is long overdue, it's important to have a third party that's neutral and that is an expert in these different categories offer an opinion. May I suggest that at appropriate meetings, perhaps the Ratepayer Advocate's Office or someone appointed to that office is invited for those meetings as well, because I think it's always very helpful when we hear from that office.
Definitely.
But thank you very much for the presentation. It was very helpful.
Thank you.
This said, we will move on to agendized item 8.1A, the RPS report, June 2018.
The report is in your packet, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So my question, Greco, is around the community solar program. I know that I believe like 2 or 3 meetings ago, we have allocated some extra additional funding of 10 million, and I am very pleased to hear that now we're up to 28 projects instead of 3. That's an improvement. And I know that I know that finding the right candidates for this specific program is not something that is easy. So I want to recognize that that's complicated and complex. But since we have additional funding, and actually in the last fiscal year, we didn't get to spend as much of the funding that we had, would you speak a little bit about what are some of the plans or what in your department are the conversations around making sure that the funding that we approve for this year, plus this 10 million, are going to really get out on where the people that can qualify really needs it?
Sure. So thank you on that community solar program. Part of the effort to get more people qualified also required adjustments to our guidelines and some of the requirements we had. We were pretty strict on some of that. So we've continued to fine tune it so that we can be more inclusive with additional customers. And as to your answering your question, I'll have Louis Ting, our Director of Engineering, Planning, and Development, speak to that.
And good morning. So thank you for the question on that. So and thank you for recognizing we have made some improvements on our processes and the learning process that we have actually have more projects in service now. So and if you also note that we actually have approved project over 28 that are in the queue for design construction going through permitting and with our sister agency out there for approvals. As far as the budget go, we did shift some of the budget over to the next fiscal year, which is this current fiscal year from last fiscal year, so that we can further the improvements of the shared solar program, and to include the next phase of the shared solar program, which we're going to implement next year. While we're working with staff, internal staff, with other divisions, also with customer service, so that we can get that program up and running. Now, as far as the solar rooftop program that you mentioned earlier, we're actually drafting and going through the process of vetting with other stakeholders internally to make sure that we can come up with a better guideline. And that update, we're going to come to the board hopefully by the end of the year this year, so that we can allow more different type of buildings, for example, multifamily, 2 stories, more than single-story buildings, and the flat roofs, and those kind of things that we already learned that we can do, that we're going to include those in the solar rooftop program. And that's where the budget's going to go.
And would virtual net metering be included on community solar?
Yes.
Would that be, like, so next time I look for our reports, is this what I look for? Virtual net metering and solar for renters and that sort of thing?
I'm not certain that on the next report you'll see virtual net metering because it is still a pilot project. So we're still coming up with the concept and also with the an actual plan on how to get this done. And we're still looking for candidates to make sure that we're covering all the bases on that virtual net metering, so that when we actually finish a pilot, it'll be like Fire Station 28 that we did the batteries behind the meter and a fire station, and also solar behind the meter. We're moving forward with the solar in front of the meter, so we can cover our bases of all the different types of controls that we can have from a department, that the solar and also the battery will actually benefit the city and not be a detriment.
Thank you, Luis. That's really helpful. And I know that we partnered up with a lot of different nonprofit organizations that are really spearheading these efforts, so I'm not worrying about input from community members. But Rico, I want to make a recommendation and maybe include here in the RPS report, or when we come to our meetings, if we can also start including the virtual net metering, because I think I know that it's a pilot, and when the moment comes, so obviously I don't think it's going to be in the next meeting, but when you find it appropriate, for us to start looking at this, how this relates with the shared solar, especially if we're thinking about opening it up to more renters in multifamilies, I think that's going to really work harmoniously together. So I would like to be able to see them both kind of moving forward and thriving. And also for folks out there that are asking questions related to this is information on for the public, so that they can also see it and they can see the amazing work that we're all doing.
Yes, we can certainly add that once we get the program up and running.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quarterly status report on water quality regulatory compliance projects for fourth quarter, April 1st to June 30th of 2018.
Yes, you have the report filed, and I'll answer any questions on this one and on the next item too. And the third item is just the report of the award that we gave.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions about B1 or items B2 or B3, including the Elysian Reservoir Community Parks Enhancement Fund or the board recognition, which we addressed earlier?
No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our meeting held on July 24th, 2018?
We need to do item 9, just the announcement.
apologize. Discussion with neighborhood council representatives on any neighborhood council resolution or community impact statement filed with the city clerk which relate to any agenda item listed or being considered on this agenda for the Water and Power Board.
No community impact statements or formal positions were filed by any neighborhood councils on the items on today's agenda.
Okay. As for approving the board minutes, Commissioner Vasquez was not here, so do we need a total of 3 votes?
Yes.
Okay, so can we defer that to our next board meeting?
Yes, we can defer
Thank
it.
you. Commissioner Barad and Commissioner Vasquez, do you wish to pull any items from discussion?
No.
Okay.
I don't, thank you.
With that said, do we have a motion to approve agendized item numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20?
I move.
Second.
All in approval? Aye.
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 With this, we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you, everyone.
At this time, we will recess in a closed session in accordance with Section 54957.1 of the California Government Code and report any final action taken therein.
Good questions and recommendations.